talk about PlayStation. So, there's articles everywhere. Verge, Hexus, I don't know who posted on the forum, but there's a reveal trailer here. What the hey? We might as well just give it a little watchy watch, shall we? Window capture. I don't know. Let's call this one Chrominator.
Chrominating the countryside.
All right. I don't want to show too much of this because I don't want to get a takedown, but there you go. It's a thing.
This section of it is
It's
like,
oh yeah, look at this.
yeah, no,
oh man,
yeah.
PlayStation.
The
PlayStation.
first whole half
yeah.
of the video has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wait, there it is. Hey, we did it, Reddit. So there it is. There's two versions of the PlayStation 5. We still don't have pricing. We've got the space age version. Hold on, let me find it. There we go. We got the space age version right here. Okay, it comes with a PlayStation 5 and a controller probably. There you go. That's the digital version. Then we've got the space station version plus ancient technology edition with a disc loader thing here, so that you can take the data that's on that disc and you can put it onto your SSD, and then you can throw it away because there's going to be a day one update that's like half the size of the game anyway.
There's your tech tip, ladies and gentlemen.
There's your tech tip. Basically, it's just you got your gaming PC where you download the game, and then you got your gaming PC where you put the disc in and download the game. PlayStation edition.
I think you can tell in the what I would probably incorrectly call the design language of the console.
Yeah.
That they did not want to have that drive in there. It does not.
It's literally a wart growing out of the side of the PlayStation 5.
Someone was like, nope, we need one with a drive. And they were like, okay, we'll just, there we go. That's good.
It's
yeah.
The thing is, and it's funny because you hear a lot of people talk about how discs are not going away, because for a lot of people, especially people who are on low speed, like rural internet connections, they're the only way to get, 30, 40, 50 gigabytes of data loaded onto their console. But, more by the time you uncompress it, but like the initial compressed data, it's like the only way to get it onto their console. But you look at the way that Sony has designed the PlayStation 5, it's clearly digital first, because not only do games, like so many, I remember when we first did our launch coverage of the PlayStation 4, and I put in these games and was immediately greeted by system updates and game updates. I was like, what is this, a computer? Because it really was so reminiscent of the computer gaming experience, like all these game patches and stuff. I was like, what? I thought this was a console. So not only that, but there's the fact now that because the PlayStation 5 is designed around streaming game assets right off of this high-speed SSD while you're gaming, you cannot design your game for the PlayStation 5 with the expectation that there's going to be a disc in the console. In fact, my understanding, and I would hate to say something ignorant about the PlayStation 5 again, that would be very, very bad. That would be a very bad time. But my understanding is that Sony has provided developers with guidance to say that they expect all the game's data to be loaded onto the SSD for when the player wants to play the game in order to maintain the proper PlayStation 5 gaming experience. I don't think games are going to run off the disc. So this is just a matter of do you want to have a physical DRM key, or do you want to be able to resell your games depending on how Sony handles digital rights management for digital games? Or do you want to have a digital DRM for your games? As far as I can tell.
There's also, for that niche community of people, the ability to play movies off it.
Do they?
Very few people.
Do they not have a USB Blu-ray already that they can use to rip their movies? Because they could do that, Okay, in all seriousness, I get it. Some people actually do watch Blu-rays like that. One of the things that a lot of people... Okay, you know what? Before we go any further, I want to hear from you, Luke. I want to hear from you. Give it a score out of 10 for looks. Tell me about it. Here, hold on. Let's get another angle here. Let's get another angle. Hold on. I got to give people
with the disc. The one without the disc, which is what I suspect most people are going to get anyways. I think it's I
why are you struggling so much?
I'm going to give it like a 9.
Come on.
The reason
a 9. Wow.
The reason why,
all right. Yeah.
Because it's not so boring.
Really?
Yeah. So much stuff comes out and like okay. So look at there's a link in there. Look at the blue link. Reddit user made a handy image comparing PlayStation and Xbox offerings. Check that out.
Okay. All right.
Maybe show that to the stream.
All right. I'm on it. Sorry, it's going to take me a little while to resize this here window doodad and majig. There we go. All right. There it is. Yep. All right. Tell me about it.
It's just look at this.
I guess what you're saying is it's not any more ugly than anything else.
Yeah, first of all, console I think the PlayStation 4 looked kind of all right. The Xbox One X looked kind of all right. The Xbox
360 looked terrible.
The Xbox 360 did not age well.
No. It looks like a toy. It looks like a child's toy.
The PS3, the non-slim PS3, I always thought was like kind of atrocious.
Yeah.
But I have been so bored with a lot of design of physical products for a long time now.
Okay, that's fair.
Like if you look at any phone, they're just all identical. They're all super minimalistic. You look at almost anything else, it's all identical and super minimalistic. And like that's pretty cool. But at a certain point, everything just feels cold. And like this thing is interesting. I don't necessarily think it's the most attractive console I've ever seen.
You gave it a 9, dude.
But
you gave it a 9 out of 10.
I'm very happy that they did this.
Like if my wife's like, "Hey, rate me out of 10," and I'm like, "Hun, you're a 9,"
because
I'm basically you see, you can't qualify that.
That is not going to go over well.
Yeah,
but I'm not
you can't do that. No, you can't do that.
I'm just happy to see it because I want to see more stuff like this.
I'll tell her that. I'm going to be like, "You're a 9 because I'm just happy to see it because I want to see more stuff like, like this, You're a 9, hun."
I appreciate it a lot, I think.
I appreciate you. You're a 9 because I appreciate you.
The same thing. It's different. I kind of like it.
Because you're different from all the other girls that I wait.
While it would have been probably more intelligent for them to go with an all-black design. Yes. I appreciate that they didn't do that.
All right.
Because again, it's more interesting.
That's fair.
It's not boring. And I actually like that so much.
Okay. So here's my...
So many things are boring. Like, look at, do you remember computer cases? Do you remember like the Antec 900?
Yeah.
How like wacky that computer case was?
Yeah.
Like there's some reasons why leaving that area was good. But I feel like we've been in this new era of everything's just a box with metal and glass on it for kind of too long, and it's a little tired. And I'm happy to see some of the like spark kind of come back.
I guess, okay, so I've got 2 takes on this. One is, okay, first of all, I just want to jump in and say we do not need to go back to the era of the Thermaltake Zazer series.
Yeah, okay. So it was too far then. I just feel like we've kind of gone too far now where everything's the same. Everything's metal and glass, and it's just kind of boring and tired.
All right.
And I somewhere in the middle, I think is really good.
Well, you didn't ask.
Somewhere in there.
You didn't ask, but I'm going to give you my take anyway. I actually like it too. I've been giving you a hard time, but I like it. I have always... And maybe part of this is that, I grew up, or like, as a gamer, feeling like Alienwares were pretty cool and were for gamers, for gaming. I never bought an Alienware gaming machine because I learned to build my own and all that kind of stuff. But I remember there was this one Alienware case in particular. It was like an Aurora something Star Wars edition that I went as far as calling up Alienware to be like, look, I don't even care if it's like $1,000. I want to buy this thing. This is like so cool. There it is. So there were two two-sided designs There was an Empire one and a Rebel Alliance version. I wanted the Empire one because it looked way cooler. But to me,
I
Alienware
remember these.
and that like futuristic spaceship gamer look is not necessarily a terrible thing. And something to remember is that even though the gaming demographic is absolutely aging, like it used to be that when we were kids played video games. And now here we are 25 years later, and adults play video games. And I think that a lot of adults now have this expectation that video game machines should look like they're made for adults. But newsflash, kids have a lot more hours to play video games by and large than adults do, and game consoles are still for kids.
And you're
also for adults.
You're doing a fun thing. It doesn't need to be this like black box of destruction and death.
Totally serious. With that said,
with
that said, my rating of 8 out of 10 is based on that I won't buy one or put it in my living room.
Neither will I.
So now I want your second rating. I want to know what you think of it if you actually have to make it fit in your console and look decent.
It would actually fit perfectly fine in my setup.
Your setup is tacky.
My setup's not that bad.
I haven't seen it, but you just told me a PlayStation 5 would fit in with it. So it's tacky. Because that is, I think, a lot of people's problem with it, is that this is a device...
I have two levels of shelving. One of them has my receiver...
You know what else you have is the technology of a webcam that you could pick up and show it to us with it.
Not that easily.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a bummer. Okay.
Just because how the cables are all set up.
Okay, don't worry about it. I'm razzing you anyway. But my point is just that I think for a lot of people, the problem is that, they aren't still living at home in their basement. And when they look at a device like this and go, I'm sorry, how is this meant to be integrated into my home theater console where, for better or for worse, every other thing in it, we don't even have silver as an option anymore. Every other thing in it is a black box. My AV receiver. Well, I realized yes, yours probably isn't, but for a lot of people, most of their stuff is
true. Yes.
So unless the PlayStation 5 is the centerpiece of your setup, it's kind of hard to make it fit in.
I don't think it's tacky though to have something that looks slightly different. I think that is this is gonna get spicy. I think that's
Watch out.
Boring old person opinion.
Did you just okay boomer me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you just okay boomer me?
Because back in the day, what was the coolest looking console?
Coolest looking, define back in the day, because you and I come from different days, sir.
Not that.
Give me a year. Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 was the coolest console. The clear ones, the purple clear one. The problem, I was no. The problem is that I was 9.
Literally purple too.
Okay,
so
that's
what? It's so cool. It is still cool. It is still cool now. People
cool.
do the clear mods on their Switches.
It's cool.
They do the purple ones because they're cool.
You're right. It's cool, but it's cool to carry around in my backpack as a Nintendo Switch. Not cool to have in my adult living room, having adult house guests over that are oh, that's adorable. Is that your kid's Game Station 6000 or whatever? And I'm oh no, that's actually,
Are they not going to play it?
That's a $600 gaming machine that I spent my last 3 paychecks on. Oh, really? And look, I'm not the kind of person, as you know very well, that cares that much about image. Yeah. I'm just saying that I don't want to look at it. And if I don't want to look at it, people who come into my house probably don't want to look at it there either. I don't think it fits in. And the Nintendo 64, remember, comes from a different era of gaming. My only friend who had an N64, okay? Actually, I had 2 friends that had N64s. Both of them, the game console was not hooked up to the main TV in the living room. It was hooked up in the basement or in their family room on the secondary crappy TV, because it was the kids' TV for playing their silly games on while mom and dad were, watching
boring news
boring
shows on their boring
exactly.
setup with their boring devices.
Exactly,
plugged into
because
their
I was
boring
9.
TV in their boring room.
Exactly.
Someone in chat said Lucas dissed you. Oh, what a jerk.
Lucas. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely hear where you're coming from, but I feel like I hope this is the transition out of that to a certain degree, but not as far as we were at before. Now is a time of change. There are exciting things happening.
Okay.
I like that this console is here.
Okay. You have a magic genie that can grant you a wish, and for whatever reason, you pick the stupidest wish ever, because obviously the best wish would be to wish for all the superpowers of all the Avengers all combined. But for whatever reason, you ask for the ability to have a magic PlayStation or Xbox that plays all games across all platforms.
What a terrible wish. Okay.
Look, you're not thinking straight. Okay.
All games.
Yeah, you're not thinking straight. Okay, so you wish to have a magic Xbox or PlayStation. Okay, and you're allowed to pick what it looks like. Okay, do you pick one that looks like the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5?
PlayStation 5.
Really?
Yep.
You're stuck with it forever. It plays every game, so there's no reason to ever replace it. You are stuck with it forever.
Okay, Series X.
That's what I thought.
Because I think
that's what I thought.
Because the white is gonna show wear more. That's the only. Because I'm stuck with it forever. I'm gonna have this thing for 60 years.
No.
The white is
you have eroded your position, sir. I have the high ground.
If this Obi-Wan usually wins technically from the low ground. He is technically usually he beats.
Could you be slightly more nerdy?
Lower than him.
Please.
And Anakin jumps above him. He usually wins from the low ground. Anyways, if it stayed in immaculate condition, I would stick with the PS5.
Forever. It is going to, like, the thing about a box is that it's timeless, right? Whereas, like, a space tower is not very timeless.
Yeah, and the Saturn V is amazing no matter how not timeless it is. Just because.
Did you just compare the PlayStation 5 to the Saturn V rocket?
Got the same number in it. Just because something doesn't look like it fits perfectly in the now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's unattractive. Classics can look cool still, even if they don't fit in with modern things.
I'm going to use that with my wife.
I think perfect.
You're a classic.
Weathered. Don't do that one. Trust me.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not. Is she throwing things at you yet?
I just got yelled at.
She's not a great throw, so she could be throwing things at him. She could just be missing. You can tell her I said that. Her aim is terrible. I've seen her try to throw stuff. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah, you hear that, Emma? Yeah, sup.
It's okay.
Sup, planty time.
A very massive variety of other positive skills. What was I going to say? Where was I going with? Yeah, so I'm not concerned.
I'm telling her you said that. Luke says you have other skills that make up for it.
PlayStation 5, she has many other skills that make up for it. This PlayStation 5 that I have that still looks like a PlayStation 5 in 60 years. Someone comes to my house and goes, "Why do you have that weird, like, alien tower looking fin driven thing on a TV for some reason, because it's 60 years from now and we're not using TVs for games anymore." It starts a conversation. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it not looking like a not looking like a boring black box that has no real detail except for holes and a single logo and some fins at the top is a bad thing. I'm not, and like, to be clear, the Xbox Series X is totally fine.
Sure.
It's just unoffensive and kind of boring.
That's fair.
I see nothing against it. If I bought in someone's house, it would probably fit very well with their setup. It would look great.
It's like Microsoft learned absolutely nothing from the last generation of trying to be like, you know,
we work for everything. This is the console that does all of the stuff.
Yeah, whereas Sony's just like, yeah, it's for gaming.
Yeah, and I think that approach and that identity is captured in the designs of the new consoles.
I think that's fair to say. I think that's very fair to say. Um,
And I think that also is slightly mirrored in that, as far as I know, I could definitely be wrong here. As far as I know, the Xbox Series X always comes with a disc drive.
I don't know. I do think so. I do think it does come with one. Oh wait,
Because they're
no,
trying to do.
no. I thought they have a streaming only edition. I haven't
Do
been
they?
paying nearly as much attention to Xbox stuff because it's been kind of slow for a bit.
Yeah, it does. I don't know what the does.
Blah 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 blah. That's a far move. Landscape that normally seems likely. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's been actually confirmed, strictly speaking, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Do you want to speculate on pricing? So I said $600 earlier, guys. I was just throwing a number out there. Canadian USD, $600 probably. I don't know. Canadian would be like 450 USD. So I was just throwing a random number out there. What are your expectations? Last time around, if I recall correctly, it was 400 US for the PS4, and then it was 500 for Xbox One, but it came with a Kinect. Does that ring a bell? Does that sound about right?
I think so.
This is off the top of my head, guys. Don't quote me. Don't quote me on that.
I think the One X, when it launched, cost $500.
But I think the Xbox One had dropped in price by the time the One X came around.
Yeah, but that was like the new console of the time, sort of. Right?
Okay.
And it costs $500.
All right. So hit me with it. How much does a PlayStation 5 cost?
I'm kind of expecting between $500 and $600. Like one of those two or $550. I think this is going to be a pretty expensive console launch. And like, sure, inflation, whatever, but like I think the price tag is going to be relatively high.
I think the Blu-ray one is 600. I think that people are going to be. I think that what happens is when you start building gaming consoles that are basically PCs, is you start to get closer to PC-like pricing. And Sony has absolutely done a lot of work here with their custom chip, working with AMD, timing it just right. So they're taking advantage of a brand new graphics architecture right at the time that they're launching. They've definitely hit, man, the timing is so perfect to line up with AMD's current Zen 2 architecture. Like Zen 3 is probably going to be better, but not in the same way that Zen 2 was better than Zen 1 and Zen Plus. Like these are very, very capable CPU cores. AMD is firing on all cylinders in terms of delivering CPUs that have fantastic value. Like the timing of this thing, for it to be as timeless as possible, is outstanding. But this is still PC grade silicon with PC grade silicon yields. These are graphics cores. These RDNA 2 graphics cores that AMD is not even shipping yet. These are like fresh out of the foundry. I would expect the yields are not amazing at this point in time. I'm expecting $600, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna make a guess here, and I'm gonna say that the all digital one is gonna save you. Man, part of me is tempted to say $50, but what I also kind of wonder is if Sony can be making up some of that margin on the back end, knowing that they're going to get digital rather than physical purchases where they have to bake in retailer margin. Ooh, now that's an interesting thought. What if the all digital version was like way cheaper? Like we're not just talking the cost of an optical drive, $40, $50, $60 or whatever. We're talking like they go, okay, we want everybody buying this all digital version. Let's make it like $200 cheaper, like $150 cheaper. Do you think they could do like $600, $449?
I don't think they'll do that.
You don't think so? What's the average number of games?
Sorry?
What's the average number of games someone buys? Because if, let's say, retailer margin is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 20%, so that's $6, $12. So if they could count on people to buy what? 6 games, maybe? Remember, guys, not everybody has a massive game collection. Like thinking back to when we were actually kids and like didn't have a lot of money. I had like 4 games for my SNES. That was it. And like you would rent other games. I guess renting's like not really an option anymore.
The PlayStation 4 has an attach rate of 9.6 games per console.
9.6 games. Okay, so let's say they can assume 10 then. Let's say they try to assume 10. So that would be maybe another $100. So okay, that's probably a safe bet. But then if they save some cost on the Blu-ray drive, maybe they could do it $150 cheaper, $450 for an all-digital version. Everyone's saying $100 max in the chat. You know what? So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna formalize it. I'm gonna say I think it's gonna be $150 cheaper. I think they're going to count on that all digital purchases margin. I think they're going to count on more than just the 10 AAA games. I think they're going to figure out ways to sell more digitally to PlayStation 5 owners. I think they're going to count on attach of things like they did their own headset now. I'm counting on it. I'm saying it. 150 cheaper. What's your bet, Luke? Remember, this is the WAN show. We can never take back these words unless we like really eat them. Yeah. Really eat them hard. Let me tell you, Crow is not great.
If it is 150, I wouldn't be like flabbergasted, but I don't think it's going to be 150. I would vote against that.
Okay. You think it's gonna be less?
Probably go with like $100.
You're going with 100. You're going with the safe bet. Safe bet, Lafreniere. Safe bet, Lucas.
I go with the safe bet after. I'm like, no, you need the different console. But yeah, I think probably about $100 delta, or I think they might do something weird and do like 70.
No, you can't do that. Like rule, I don't even know why it matters, but I had this beat into me when I was working retail, like pricing, like tweener. That's what we'd call it. We call it a tweener price or a tweener SKU. And I remember one of the classic examples of this was I was talking to my boss about this. This was pretty early in my tenure as a product manager, and I was like, "Hey, why are 640 was like a weird hard drive capacity as a tweener capacity?" I was like, "Why are 640 terabyte or gigabyte drives? Excuse me, terabyte. Why are 640 gigabyte drives so unpopular? They're the best cost per gig out of everything in that we carry." And my boss is just like, yeah, you know what? I honestly couldn't really explain it to you. That's what I would buy for myself at home. But 500 gig and 1 terabyte outsell it 6-1, both of them on either side, even though they are a worse value per gig than 640. And he's just like, yeah, they just don't sell. That's why you have like good, better, best, because you have good so that the people who are going to have to buy the lowest end one don't feel like they're missing out on so much because the next one up is not that much better. And you have best because by the time you spend this much, you might as well spend that much. That's how a product stack works. I don't make the rules. So there's no way that they would do like a $70 difference. I'll bet my beard on it.
You're already betting your beard on shirt sales. You can't bet your beard on that. LTGstore.com.
Dang it, you sound like my bank. What? But you can't give this for collateral. You've already got it on that.
That's funny. And you're almost certainly right. I just felt like they might do that as a play to like make it that weird thing that they don't want people purchasing. I think it's pretty clear in the design language they're not focusing on that one.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that is like the reason why if they did do a $150 delta, I'm not going to be flabbergasted.
Yeah,
because it could be that play to like push it away and make it seem weird and odd. I think PlayStation has also positioned themselves over the last 2 years to be very much like we're for the gamers, and the gamer argument of like this download is huge, dude, and like my parents don't want to pay for like this bandwidth because bandwidth caps are still a thing.
I know, right?
I think that is a valid argument. So there will be people that want to get the disk drive version,
totally, that
are probably going to be kids. So that's why I'm leaning away from the 150. If I want to be spicy, maybe I'll just go on the other edge of the probably correct answer and go with 50.
I said 600 was my price for the full fat version of the console, right? I think so.
You've mentioned
I
600 a
think I
couple
said
times, so
600 and
sure.
450. So one of the reasons that I'm pretty confident in 600 is because looking at how Sony has designed this ecosystem to be used, instead of having like instead of accepting a compromise on performance, right, and allowing assets to be streamed off a disk, for example, they're saying no. Just like a computer, you have to run everything off of the internal drive of the machine. In fact, on
Yeah.
a computer, you don't have to do that. You can run it off an external SSD or whatever. But they built in this. They built in this storage upgradability, and to me, I don't think that they would get up there on stage and talk about installing an M.2 NVMe SSD, which by the time the PlayStation 5 launches will probably be like, in order to hit the performance target that Sony has for it, is probably going to be something like a Samsung 980 Pro. Like that, maybe a 980 Evo. We're going to have to see. This is going to be Samsung's first Gen 4 SSDs, and I think Phison has a controller coming later this year that could possibly also meet the requirement. These are not going to be cheap SSDs. These are not going to be value consumer SSDs where you go on Amazon or whatever, you get your WD Blue or whatever. You're not going to be installing just any SSD in this thing. And so for Sony to go on stage and talk about the upgrade path for this machine with a straight face and point at a device that is going to probably start at $250+, I don't expect this to be like a $400 console. We've got a lot of people in the chat saying, yeah, $400, $400. I don't buy it.
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
buy it.
I think I'm going to place myself, and I'm not very confident in this because I think it's going to be $100 delta. But just for the fun of it, I think I'm going to place myself at $599 and $549.
Really? Okay. All right. I'm gonna say $599. And oh man, am I stuck with this? All right,
I think
$449
you
for the all
are.
digital version. I did say $150 delta. I'm really having second thoughts. I really want to say 500 and 600 now, but I guess yeah, I'm stuck with it. You know
I
what else
think
I'm stuck
500 and
with?
600 is a very reasonable, probably the most like normal kind of assumption. But I'm sticking with 599 and 549.